What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from Derek Lunsford at 2 weeks out from the 2023 Mr. Olympia. Now, as you guys know, last year at the Olympia, Derek made his open bodybuilding debut, his big switch from 212, and he was runner-up at his first open Olympia ever. Having only prepped for open for less than 6 months, less than half the year, he was still planning on doing 212 the first half of the year. And even in that second half, he still was kind of unsure at the beginning if he was going to do open or not. And I think that's significant as you look at this update and you look at the size of Derek here. And obviously he looks like he's in tremendous shape, crazy vascularity, really detailed, a lot of striations in the upper body and the delts and the chest. But look at the fullness that Derek has. And look, to me, how much bigger he looks. And I really think that's a big, important chunk of this, is to keep in mind that as we prepare to see Derek on stage for his second Open Olympia, that this time around he had over a year to be fully focused on Open. And that's significant because half of that year last year, he was still had in the back of his mind that he's got to make weight in 212, even though he did get up to like 260 in the offseason. I think having this additional time, knowing that he's doing open, having not competed all year since the Olympia, notably skipping the Arnold Classic, I think all these factors are going to work to Derek's advantage, and I think that's the product that we're seeing right here at 2 weeks out. He looks really good. We were all surprised by how good he looked last year, coming from 212 and hanging as well as he did with these bigger guys and really looking as big as he did. I think he's going to look even bigger this year. Hopefully, on a conditioning front, he's going to be even more conditioned in the upper body in particular. But I think if there is an upset this year, I think if Hadi Choopan is decrowned, and I'm not saying that I think he will be, I think the most likely person to do that, to pull off that upset, would be Derek Lunsford. He, to me, is one of the most impressive guys in this lineup with the updates that we've seen, his back shots, the V-taper that he has for an open bodybuilder, just that tiny waist flaring up to these gigantic lats. It's the best in the division. The fact that he was able to pull off a top 2 placing at his first Olympia ever in open, incredible. And he's coming with the pedigree of being a 212 Olympia champ. He could very well be the first ever crossover champion. He could be the first guy to come from another division, have an Olympia title in another division, and win an Open Olympia title also. That's huge. And I think Derek is also, it's also worth pointing out that he's further validation of the utility of the special invite at the Olympia. Remember, last year he didn't have to qualify. He was offered the special invitation, so he didn't have to compete in Open prior to the Olympia. Then at his first Olympia ever, off of a special invitation, he was top 2. And if you guys remember, the first Olympia that Big Ramy won, he was actually the special invitation recipient that year. So in recent years, the special invitation spot has been a pretty significant one. And I'm kind of curious if they're going to offer one this year, and if so, to who it would be. I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head that wants to do the Open Olympia that's not already qualified, that's a big enough name to be in that conversation. But maybe there is. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, though. But let me know in the comments below if you think Derek can win this year's Olympia, and if not, where do you think he's going to place? All right, now next up in the news, we got another physique update from Brandon Curry posted by Coach Abdullah. Now, it's worth pointing out that this was a happy birthday post to Brandon, and he talks about in the post the first time they worked together, but all the updates that Abdullah have been posting lately of Brandon for the past couple months, he said are recent, so you can assume that this is also recent. But I can't say for sure because it's hard to see if there's gray in his beard or not, unless he got it dyed. I don't know. But if it is recent and it's from 2 weeks out, he looks pretty impressive here. This definitely has 2019 Brandon vibes to it. And I think the most noteworthy things about this update are the striations in his shoulders and then the size of his legs. Pretty good size to his legs from the side for Brandon, and that's what makes me feel like it's a newer update. Even since he won the Olympia over the past couple of years, I feel like he's added size to his lower body, which makes me think this is not from whenever they first started working together. But I really can't say enough good things about Brandon. He's a great guy. He's the only returning Mr. Olympia in this lineup besides Hadi Chupin, and I'm really excited to see what he puts together for this year's Olympia. He couldn't be a nicer guy, more humble guy, really interactive with his fans, and I hope that he does really well this year, and I think he's got a really good chance of doing so based on everything that we've seen so far in this Olympia buildup. I'm really excited to see Brandon on that stage. And I know I just sang the praises of Derek Lunsford, but Brandon is the only guy in this lineup that's beaten Hadi. It's not impossible that he could do it again. Now, next up in the news, we got a recent physique update from Flex Lewis, who is retired from competing, but he looks really impressive here considering everything that he said in this video. He talks about the fact that over the past 2 months, he's only weight trained 3 times. How he's kind of been slacking in the gym and hasn't really been taking care of his mental health, and how he's going to be doing a 26-day transformation, and how before he turns 40, which is his next birthday, he wants to be in the best shape of his life. He also says in this video that he's only on TRT, which is pretty impressive considering he hasn't trained in basically 2 months, and he still has a physique like this. I mean, you look at the pictures in the video on this update, and you can see that he's still got striated glutes, a lot of definition, a pretty good amount of size, but he says this is all from just doing cardio every single day for the past 2 months. The only thing that he's really been slacking on is actual training. And I know he's happily retired, and I know he's focused on business, he's focused on family, but when I see an update like this, and he says he hasn't even trained in months, and he still looks this impressive, it's one of those things that, man, I would still love to see him come back and compete. I would love to see him switch to open. It's something that we never got to see. He teased, and I think he would have done very well. And he's only 39. He's not that old. It's not like he's past his prime. He's the same age as a lot of the guys in open right now, and younger than some of them. And again, I know he said he's not going to, but for a guy that hasn't trained and only on TRT, this is pretty impressive to me. And he also says in this update that he's down 65 pounds overall. He's under 200 pounds here, so he's actively trying to lose muscle and still has held on to this level of physique. I think it's really impressive. He's got striated glutes in this. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Now, next up in the news, we got to talk about Terrence Ruff in here. This is quite the transformation. So we got a bunch of updates from Terrence at 3 weeks out. And this is from his coach. This is a side-by-side of 3 weeks out on the left from the 2022 Mr. Olympia, where he took 6th. And on the right, the current update from this year's Olympia, 3 weeks out. Both the same amount of time out from the Olympia. I think when you see these side-by-side, it's undeniable the difference in Terrence's physique. And I think part of that, a large part, is the weight limit increase. I really think it's going to be significant for him. It's a night and day difference between these two photos. So when I've seen people say, I've seen in the comments, there's no way that Terrence is going to beat Ramon. There's no way he's going to beat Urs. There's no way he's going to be back in the top 3. He doesn't look that different. He didn't look that different at these shows. I see people say this. He does look significantly different. He does look significantly bigger, more detailed, improved, and he has a chip on his shoulder. He has something to prove here. He wants to prove to the world that 6th place finish was a fluke and that he's still one of the best classic physique competitors on the face of the earth. I love Ramon. I love Urs. I think they looked fantastic at the Olympia, but I still think there's a chance that Terrence finds himself back in the conversation in that top 3, and to do that, he would have to beat one or both of those guys. And I don't think that's impossible looking at the progress that Terrence has made. I think he's on a mission to prove to the world that he's not gone. He's not going anywhere. He's back. He's still here. He never went anywhere. And I think that's what we're going to see at the Olympia. People are quick to forget, just in 1 year, that Terrence used to go toe-to-toe with the best, Chris Bumstead. Much bigger guy, much taller guy. But Terrence was still right there in 2nd place, pushing the best in the world. I think he's going to be right back in the mix this year. And I'm just going to say it. I don't think it's impossible that we could see Terrence back in that 2nd place spot. Or, you know, the biggest upset of all time would be if Terrence were to win the Classic Physique Olympia. No one would be expecting that. You know, honestly, as much as I love Chris, I have seen the rumblings of people saying Chris doesn't look nearly as good as he looked last year at this point in his prep. I see a lot of doubt in the comment section directed at Chris, especially after he expressed that this was a very difficult prep for him. And then once he started releasing updates, I saw that it wasn't all positivity in the comment section. He's coming back from that bicep injury, which he had surgery on. Some people are saying he doesn't look as big as last year. I think he still looks big. I just made a video talking about how I think he could pass as an open bodybuilder in those side shots. But I've seen people posting comparisons from last year's prep saying he was bigger, fuller, and more conditioned. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is there a chance for the biggest upset of all time that Terrence could come in and win this thing? Or is that completely out of the cards with the security of Chris Bumstead on top and the vast improvements that Urs and Ramon have made over the years? Are they just solidified now as the top three? Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, a leg update from Nick Walker. Now, the reason why this is significant is Nick has said his focus after the Arnold Classic is working on the legs, specifically the quads, the size, and the separation. He felt like that was something that was lacking at the Arnold Classic, and I think a lot of people felt that way. And in this update, I do want to say, I think you can see a difference. Granted, this is leg day, so he's got a pump. But his quads look pretty damn good in this update. He says a couple more leg days to go. I think Nick obviously is going to be in the mix. He's one of my favorite bodybuilders in this lineup by far. He's a young guy. He's really hungry. He's got a ton of muscle. He's one of the freaks in this lineup. And if I'm watching the Olympia purely as a fan, just from a fan of bodybuilding standpoint, Nick is the guy that I want to see do well. He brings consistently really good conditioning, and he brings that crazy round 3D muscle. Just as much muscle as you could put on his frame is what he brings. And that's what I like about Nick. He's just like the perennial bodybuilder. And he's confident in himself. He said he was going to win the Arnold Classic. He did that. He says over and over and over again, he will be Mr. Olympia. And I want to believe him when he says that. I'm rooting for the guy. And there's some tough competition for him this year. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Where do you think Nick Walker will place all these guys in this video? Brandon, Terrence in Classic, Derek Lunsford, and Nick. Let me know the placings. Let me know your top three for each division, Classic and Open, in the comments below. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, click the bell. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.